JP, good afternoon.
Anna,
This
how
is
are
a
you?
I'm great, thank you. As opposed to many people, I don't have to worry about Black Friday. I actually don't want to talk about it. But
Yeah,
this is symbolic that we're having this conversation on the Black Friday. This is a very well anticipated conversation by many. So, welcome to Spotlight Fridays. And I know I do the very quick intro for you because I think the whole intro can go for 20 minutes, but I'll try to do it in 1 minute. So you worked across FMCG, supply chain, and e-commerce, and then built and excited your own marketplace called Hello Drinks, which grew from 12 to 8,000 products. But you experienced firsthand the challenges retailers face with supplier content and product data and search visibility. And I think that's where Optidam was born. So it would have been, what, 3 years now?
yeah. Thanks for having me. First of all, it's I've been a fan for a while and tuning in on Fridays, and yeah, it was great when we had a chat a couple of weeks ago and you asked me on, and perfect timing with Agentic Commerce. Yeah, 3 years ago, I came from my early days out of school in Dell Computers, and I was 11 years there. Um, a very forward thinking organization, very kind of futuristic in terms of optimization, efficiency, Kaizen project driven in a manufacturing environment. Um, After that, I came out, I took a redundancy and went out into the sales world and started right at the bottom of FMCG merchandising, putting drinks in fridges and learning around that whole process around how volume works, how the sales process works, and getting into the data side, the technology side of how we can basically put orders ahead of somebody walking into a store with a pen and paper. Yeah, and it took me through a few different great jobs I was in, working for brands like Nivea, Elastoplast, Panadol with GSK, and all along there was one core problem that I saw that we'll touch on in a few minutes, and into my own marketplace in with Hello Drinks, which was challenging. Yes, we've exited, but a lot of learnings in there in terms of a first startup that was bootstrapped and how we accidentally went from 12 products to 8,000. That really opened up this problem for us. So, yeah.
Well, it's been a journey, and I think the learnings is the most rewarding part of those journeys because none of us know everything. But if we can get the learnings while doing things, this is probably the best experiences we can gain and bring it with us into the future endeavors. So let's just talk a little bit about data. Well, I talk a lot about data, as you know. Most
Yeah.
retailers say that have data, but they have it, but very few have the clean, structured, and usable data. What are the biggest gaps you see inside businesses today?
Yeah, content is a funny thing, right? And how we get it and how we can source it. Um, During COVID, we went to 8,000 products on the back of pubs and restaurants were shut down. Wholesalers had nowhere to sell their product, and we were able to tap into that space. But one thing wholesalers didn't have was relevant content for us to have as a business. Now, a description for them is a one liner, but from a search engine perspective and performance, Google are looking for 200 to 250 words that they're telling us back as far as 2011. It's got to be unique. It's got to be yours. It's got to be relevant to the search query that your shopper is looking for. And what I've always found in this space, and I was guilty of this because working for those brands, I was given the same content out to all the different retailers. That's mass duplicated right across, and we've done some studies around this that I'm copying it from the brand website and putting it into their portal, and now it's on their website. Search engines are picking that off that it's duplicated, it's copied, it's not yours. And from a brand seller perspective, they're not written for search engines. There's a little short paragraph of a blurb, but it's not written for. And as we move into agentic commerce, even more so, they need more information that to match that to the intent of the shopper. So yeah, it's challenging. And when you get into, if you have 10, 20 products, not so big of a problem. But when you're talking into someone that has 1,000 products or 100,000 products, then it becomes a whole, how does the team generate that with that amount of volume?
Yes, and it costs them a lot of money, right? This inconsistent data because they receive it, especially across the marketplaces, they receive it from the suppliers and vendors, but they're just factual, the fabric composition or whatever that might be. But it's up to the brands to uh, finesse it and put it into their brand language and understanding the customers enough to know what details they're going to look for and search for.
And that's it, right? Sometimes like you can go into Chat GPT and it can make a guess on what the description should look like, but you've got to look at what are people are actually searching for in the performance in your Google backend or your AI search tools. What is it they're looking for? Because that's what's more relevant. And that's where you can tailor your content around that. Um, like I spoke to a retailer recently that have 2 to 3 thousand suppliers that they use supplier content, and that's 2 to 3 thousand different styles of writing and tone right across their website. That fails all those KPIs the search algorithms are looking for, and they're like going, "How do we police it? How can we get on top of this and reword it to talk to our customer and not theirs?" So there's a bit of a balance in acting how you kind of keep the core product brand voice, but also then it's the retailer is the one that's selling it. It's their performance.
So, what do you think changed in customer discovery with AI led search tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google, what have you, Gemini? What do you think? What are the changes?
Yeah, I think in terms of it's the opportunity, right? We've lived in a Google world for so long and a Google algorithm that kind of put restrictions on it. Now, this isn't something that's new, right? As I said, back to 2011, Google have been asking for this, and we've been able to do studies that where we've optimized websites, we can see the performance uplift on the back of it. So when you make positive changes to a website and optimize, we have a client with 9,000 products that we've been able to refresh 9,000 product pages across image data, metadata, the product description, the titles, and that goes into their category and brand pages as well. You know, and it's surprising that the amount of them that have no content there and they know it's a problem. It's not something there. This is a surprise to them either. It's just like we don't know how to write 9,000 pages. We don't have the SEO capability, or we don't know how to structure that every page is different and not being copied. So
So
when the opportunity,
when they understand,
yeah. So look, when we had the conversation, a lot of them know it's an issue. Um, Previously, we asked a question like if they ask, "Oh, is AI content going to get me penalized on Google?" which was some of the earlier questions, and we were, "What's the alternative? You're being penalized because your content's not at the standard, and now there's an opportunity to go and refresh that content and present it better. One to the shopper who's on your website, but also to the robot now who we're talking to, and that robot can move much quicker and can read much quicker and can turn quality content into performance results for you."
so do you think that the retailers right now they can clearly articulate this problem, or
Um,
there are many that can't?
it's still very new, right? We're probably still in that transition phase. I think we touched on offline that we've been in this AI fog for 2 3 years now, and only since May when the Shopify ChatGPT news started breaking and Perplexity, people have started switching on a bit, and we've had retailers now. Now I get what you've been talking about for the last 2 years. I've been following you on LinkedIn, etc. They're starting to see it. But there's still the naysayers out there who want to go nice and slow, and then there's challenges for PIMS and there's challenges for SEO agencies, how they kind of change their process. So previously, SEO agencies wouldn't go near product pages because of the size of the task, and it eats into their efficiencies. So now they have to figure out, can we go and take on a task of 20,000 product pages? Can we do a KPI? And I can tell you from the studies, of if you put a team in front of ChatGPT and they're offshore, the time studies don't line up. It's the technology that can make it happen much quicker, but the human element of someone in front of ChatGPT, they're probably turning over maybe 200 pages per 40 hours. And that's very time consuming for a big retailer when you're trying to chase performance. If you can do it today, why wait 6 months for it before it starts getting indexed further on from that?
I agree. Can you share an example where cleaning and structuring product data immediately improved search performance or sales?
Yeah, look, we've been working with a liquor business who would have been a competitor of mine, um, and they were the ones. I don't know if I can say it. They acquired Hello Drinks during this AI process. Um, yeah, so they had two retail websites out there, right? Both had similar products. One was very much based on convenience, price, and range. The other one was more of a premium setting around whiskey and wine. But there was a lot of crossover of products in there that are using the same supplier content. So, from a shopper perspective, you're reading the same description on each page. It's telling you nothing different or informative of the product. And the justification that it's premium or giving a bit more depth in around the brand wasn't there. So we were able to set those two websites apart and give them their own unique content. Now, they would have seen an uplift in the first 6 weeks of a 14% conversion. So while there was a dip in early traffic while Google is re-indexing, they saw a big conversion lift of shoppers on page. Um, since then, during the winter months versus their peak summer last year, we've been able to 2.5 times their visibility on search engines. And now they're in their peak season. They're already hitting their peak December numbers early in November this year, so they're ahead of it again. So we're able, and the liquor industry is in a challenging space at the moment. So it's probably one of the main categories out there that's in decline, and that's across the market. So they're seeing good positive results during a challenging period for their category.
That's a brilliant example. When you can increase the conversion by 14%, you are in the winning lane for sure. So, for retailers that do know and acknowledge that their product data is messy, but don't know where to start, what's the first practical step they can take today?
Yeah, look, it's for us. It's a discovery chat. It's us. There's an element of a little bit of consultancy in there in terms of we get to have a look at their website and do a free audit. We get to scan across. We're able to pinpoint where the gaps are, where the opportunity is. One of those liquor websites, um, they had 3,000 brand pages. 98% of them were blank. So there's product in there, but no content around it, and that's key to talk to an agent, to talk to the robot. So it's that stuff we'll go in and show them. Here's where the gaps, what you're missing, and here's the opportunity of where to optimize, whether it be 10,000 or 100,000 pages. And then it's trying to get through. There's other areas that we see then within that as well in their backend that can improve efficiency. Sometimes it might be bringing in one of our partners to work with them. Sometimes it's images data sourcing, it's data enrichment. Sometimes they're missing gaps in their data that we can go and find that for them.
Yeah,
So
you did a couple of audits for some of my clients, and I must say they've been incredibly helpful because it pinpoint immediately the gaps that the in-house team A didn't know about it, didn't know how to fix it. So
yeah,
when
and
we talk about practical approach, you're a very good person to know. That's for sure.
yeah, and sometimes it's not us. We're not trying to sell to them. We're trying to help them. And that's what we
Of
learned
course.
when we were retailers. And when you when you go deeper down into it, into terms of optimizing that, there's an operational efficiency part of it. Like, what are you currently doing? One retailer has three other staff writing their product descriptions. And we're trying to weigh up going, but how much time are they spending there versus you've hired them as sales staff, but they're writing product descriptions that aren't optimized. So it's not as if they're winning that side for you. They're doing a task that's worthless.
Yes, well, unfortunately, there are the ones, as you and I know, because you did the audit for me, that don't even have product descriptions.
Yeah. And
Ouch.
again, sometimes when they're using portals or PIMs, right, the PIMs can only work on the content that's given to them. And if there's blank content there from a supplier, there's nothing they can do. That's what gets pushed through.
Correct.
So it's for us, it's raising the quality right across, so we can turn that to performance. And that performance is first of all the top line, that we can grow your top line through traffic, through conversion, and visibility, but also how we can help optimize that your workflow. I think we touched on for a fashion retailer, they're there to sell fashion. But when they get into business, then they realize there's all these congestion within their workflows, and they need teams for managing images, for managing content, for onboarding sellers and stuff. And we clean up a lot of that for them, and where they can use redeploy that resource somewhere else in the business that there may be other bottlenecks or challenges.
Yes, absolutely, because it impacts so many different areas, but ultimately it impacts customer experience. You know, I did some work. I worked on one of the projects yesterday, and it took me into the rabbit hole where I started in one place and landed on their Facebook page and started reading the comments. And it turned out that the customers were asking for the details that normally should be included in the product descriptions. And I thought, why are they asking these questions? Can't they just read the PDP pages? Then I went into that retailer's website. Turned out the product descriptions were missing
Yeah,
completely. It was blank. So the customer's telling them, I need this information because I want to purchase, but what's the fabric composition? What's the sizing? Do you have it in different lengths? Remarkable. The retailer, by the way, had no idea that that was a glitch in the system.
yeah, and look, again, when you're getting to large product fields, teams are busy, and this is where we learned the pain point as retailers ourselves. And when we went to optimize pages one by one, we were like, this just isn't possible. There's no
Yeah, agree.
satisfaction for an employee. So
Yeah, very easy to miss because you're right. They are busy and it's Black Friday. You can't talk to anyone because everyone's just so busy.
yeah.
As we didn't know a year ago that there will be Black Friday in November. Anyway, I promise I'm not going to mention that. My next question to you, what do you think retailers will underestimate most about discoverability in AI-led future?
Yeah, look, we're still learning, right? We're still trying to adapt to what the agentic commerce protocol that's come out from OpenAI, and what is it they're looking for that we're trying to adopt and feed into. There's the AI side of it, but then there's the public perception side then as well. When we start getting in and talking about images, is it okay for a fashion retailer to have an AI model? There are discussions that are happening. I'm seeing across a lot of retail groups, and some people like it and some people don't. And probably in 3 years down the line, we'll accept everything as AI models. But we'll go through a bit of a transition period, and a lot of it is learning. And we understand there's an element of providing case studies for this as well. But then there's also the bit on the retail side of taking a leap of faith, because this is a new solution. Previously retailers didn't go out and optimize 10,000 pages, or agencies or consultants didn't have it as a big enough problem on their radar. Even though we knew Google wanted this quality content, they never tested it, or never, let's see what happens if we do go and find a team to write 10,000 optimized pages. Because one, it can generate new organic traffic for them. But one of the case studies we're working on at the moment is how we can impact AdWord traffic as well. Because if you can have the ability to give better content to the shopper, is that going to convert more for you? Um, so there's a number of different things they need to kind of still test. But what we can say from ourselves, and there's some competitors in the space and other AI businesses are starting up, we're in this full time. we're their partner, that we're learning, we're seeing the gaps, we're testing things in the background, that there's a trust element that we're here to work by your side.
Yeah, but
And I think that's the
I'll
benefit.
you continue.
No, that's okay. That was really it.
But I believe you discovered AI before we all heard about ChatGPT.
Um, Look, I think from my early days working in Dell, right, we knew that there was a lot of forward thinking processes. When I worked in Dell, it was one of the first manufacturing plants that moved into a warehouseless environment. That was 20 years ago, where we were mind blowing, going, but we need a warehouse. We're in a factory, and we saw how it was optimized and how it was done, and it worked. So the thought process was always there. Um, we turned 3 years old 2 weeks ago, and that was probably,
Congratulations.
yeah, it's been a up and down journey. So, but it's been good. Um, ChatGPT turns 3 next week, I believe. So we were a month out in front of them. There was a lot of excitement, a lot of investors talking to us, going, "Wow!" And at the time, it was a DIY content generator, and it was a very much MVP. But we could see from my own experience that this just manual teams won't be able to do this and do it at scale for the larger retail. So we were always kind of forward thinking, testing AI, and like ChatGPT isn't new. It was always there. It's just they came out with a new cool interface that makes it easy to talk with. And I had this chat with my wife that ChatGPT is not AI, it's a language model. And even in our own platform, we're probably 20% AI, and 80% of it is the proprietary tech stack that it's built on. And that's what we're able to bring that brand engine into a retailer's environment, that it writes their voice over and over and over again as we need it.
Yes, I was hoping you're not going to say to me that you talked to your wife via ChatGPT. So we got as close to it as we possibly could.
I'm
So,
trying. I'm
how,
trying to. I am trying to convert her across. She's making a lot of progress there, and I'm trying to show her the benefits in her own job, that how it can be very powerful for her team. She works in finance, so it can be very, yeah,
slower adopters,
yeah.
I would say. Well, you're probably running around with your three kids, I believe, what, under the age of 7?
Yes, 7, 4, and 2.
Yes,
So
that would keep you very, very busy and definitely on your toes. So, what's been the biggest challenge building up to then, and what has helped you push through? Because for all of us, it's always it meant to be a chirpy journey. No one starts something and it's all rainbows and unicorns. It just all depends on those pitfalls, how deep they are.
yeah, I suppose. Look, to be upfront and honest, right? It's always the thing that we've got this cool technology. You should have it. No, but the world doesn't work that way. And I'm what I've learned in Australia is Australians a little bit chilled out as it moves forward a bit, and so it's making those friendships and things like that, and just sharing some help that you can to other people, and that love
Yeah.
comes back. The biggest challenge, I think, has been the first 2 years being in that AI fog. Where you're going to events, you're bootstrapped, you're having the conversations, and people can see it. And there's some really intelligent people out there, they can see, wow, you're onto something crappy. How would we write 10,000? We met one retailer in a lift and pitched to her there, and she's 150,000 products. And she was straight away, you've got something. And we're in that long process with them now of onboarding. It was just like, yeah, you've got it. I have this problem. So when you have the conversations, they very quickly get it and go, and they know from a content SEO performance that it can be a big lift to them. Um, so yeah, I think the biggest one has been that 2 years. Team is probably another one, but that's normal in a startup environment. I've found a great co-founder, um, and probably been through a few different tech people in the earlier days that just didn't get it. Whereas I have someone now at the moment and he's a machine. He understands it. He's come from retail. I don't have to be going back and forth going, this isn't right. You have to tweak it. He can just go and replicate anything we need, or he can build anything from scratch off an idea. And we're about to bring in a product manager as well that's very highly experienced and adds a lot to it as well. So we're excited where it's going.
It's brilliant. And I saw you hiring someone on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so we're looking to bring in two. One is a product manager, and the other person's in the sales. Salesperson's kind of doing some work with us ongoing. Product manager, we believe we're at that stage now where there's some of those pressure points are starting to steam a bit, and we just kind of need a little bit more someone to help us steer the ship. And especially when we're in talking to some of these retailers, like, you've got to show them that progress has been made and that experience is in our team, and we complement each other. We're not the same. We always double down on that startup kind of philosophy of find your weakness and that's what you plug into.
Well said. I just want to reflect on what you mentioned earlier about pitching to that woman in the lift.
My first elevator pitch.
Well done.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, who in the organization actually gets it first? What are the titles? Are they CIOs, are they COOs, the people that understand the pain points, they understand where they are, and they also need to have that intimate understanding if it could be fixed in-house or not. So who do you talk to? Who normally approaches you?
Yeah, it can be anything from a CFO, CEO, CMO. Generally, it would sit in the CMO space because it leads to marketing performance. But even CMOs, it's how you deliver it to them as well, right? Because they've got to bring it back to the CFO and present it to them. So you've got to help them to sell it back. But it's generally, I think, because of where we are at the moment, there's so much AI probably is coming at them, and where are they going to channel their budgets? So that's, I think, the key piece, and that's where the senior management piece comes in. That you're trying to just have chats with them, guys. This is what's happening out there. This is what we see, and this is the opportunity. And then you're not selling to them. You're trying to help them, inform them a bit better. And then when they sit down and they're planning for 2026, they can see there's an opportunity over here for us to go after organic growth and convert more ad sales, etc., and get more sales from AOE search agents.
But it's almost, that building the ability to build that business case where you can see the potential around conversion and increase in AOV and the number of transactions that ultimately will lead to that favorable commercial outcome. So budgets or no budgets, budgets is such a vague term.
Yeah. It is. It's an investment, is what it is, because you're putting money in to get money out, and along the way, where there's operational savings as well, it can have a big impact. And we talk about, again, it's when we looked at it at the start, it's not a content generator. It's moving that top needle. That's the driver. That's what we're interested in. If we're optimizing content and it's not moving the needle, we're not doing something. And we're always kind of watching what's happening, and there's some noise out there. Do you put FAQs on every page or not? There are things that, yeah, short term they might win for you because robots are scanning the page. They're looking for information at the moment, and they're trying to poke Google's algorithm. They're trying to say, we'll take the information, we'll take blogs if you're putting them out there. Whereas Google historically doubled down and penalized some of that stuff or stopped rewarding it. Whereas AI is going the opposite way, and it's starting to it's reversing the algorithm, the Google penalty algorithm, a little bit.
JP, I must say, in full transparency, I cannot remember last time I used Google to discover any product. I just can't remember. I only use AI for shopping.
There's some cool studies that have kind of come out recently, right? And ChatGPT is seeing a lot of high penetration of shoppers looking for that early discovery, but the conversion is still happening a lot of the time over on Google as well. And I think that's just a timing thing that ChatGPT hasn't switched on their checkout yet and rolled it out, or they're not giving you the answer, or there's the product, now you can go and buy it.
That's
You
very
know, and
true.
that's what we're seeing with the assistant this week. So I think once we see that assistant open up a bit more, you're going to see more of that adoption go from Google to the AI.
I don't think it's that
Um,
far away. They already launched the shopping assistant on OpenAI this week. But it's true. I actually don't always click on those links. I do
yeah,
potential, yes, but I do all the discoverability and comparison and what have you on.
I had a little play around with it, and it's you're starting to query, like, is the competition tightening for retailers because it's only showing so many results and narrowing them down. Whereas in Google, there's the element of choice for a shopper, and they can click on any link they want. Whereas now ChatGPT is starting to narrow it down and go, there's your four results. So there's that happening, but then there's the protocol piece, that if your content is structured and it's clean and it's unique and optimized, you have a better chance of that performance piece of fitting into those answers.
Here's the answer. If you want your product to be optimized for shopping and have very happy customers as a result, reach out to JP from Optidan. So I did the ad for you.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks.
there are no ads, but I've really enjoyed our conversation. We've started working together on a couple of projects, and it's very exciting to see what you do and how you contribute to the industry right now with something that is very topical for everyone, regardless if they're jumping on or not. It's just a matter of time. But thank you for this conversation. It's been very insightful and very helpful. And I hope for everyone who joined us live, and if not, they will watch the recording. But I will watch this with a lot of interest, JP, just to see how many businesses you will acquire to work with in the next couple of months, because this is a very, very hot topic.
No, look, thanks very much for having me on. And I said, look, at this stage, we're just looking to have chats with people and see where we can help and where we can point them in the right direction, or show how badly their content might just be. And
Yes.
they may not be aware of that.
Yes. Very well said. So book a discovery call with JP. Thank you so much, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Black Friday. Enjoy shopping or not, and have a great weekend. Thanks, everyone.